Our whole lives are being run by a program downloaded during our childhood years. It's downloaded into our subconscious. In that software are beliefs and behaviors that make us who we are today. It's a personality that runs an autopilot. We are nothing more than a copy of what we observed as children. From the mannerism of our parents to the subliminal messages displayed on television. It's all a program that's running. In other words, we are who we are, not by choice, but by default. So ask yourselves, what do you do when you don't like a program in your computer? Do you just stick to what you have and call it a day? No. You change it, don't you? Now let's dig deep and embrace the strange. How many of us can say we wake up in the morning with nothing in our minds but just sit there and enjoy the present moment we are in? I'm sure many of us don't. Many of us wake up with thoughts of our past, to things which happened yesterday. We think about our problems. We think about what we are to encounter in the future. We wake up, use our phones, and start to think about the things we have to do throughout the day, right? Work we must do and errands we must run. We aren't even aware of our thoughts or behavior because we have mastered those habits. All those thoughts are circuits now, nothing more but memories in the brain. And those memories are connected to people, times, and places. It's an archive of things we have experienced in the past. So we wake up with thoughts that has occurred in our past. And those thoughts and memories have emotions. So think about it. If we wake up with thoughts of our problems, then we are living in our past. And our brain predicts the future with patterns of our past. We subconsciously do these things. How we feel, walk, talk, behave, how we treat others, how we treat ourselves. It's all programmed into our subconscious. Think about it. The first 18 months of your life, you don't have a concept of yourself. We learn that by our environment. How the environment refers to you is how you define yourself. From birth to age 7, our subconscious is recording all sensory experiences. We observe our environment and we begin to mimic people's movements, and we start to behave as those as well, downloading bits of information about the world and its functions. By observing behavioral patterns of people in the immediate environment, kids learn acceptable and unacceptable social behavior. Let me explain this before going any further. At the root of all our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors is the communication between neurons within our brains. Brain waves are produced by synchronized electrical pulses from masses of neurons communicating with each other. Brain waves are detected using sensors placed on the scalp. They are divided into bandwidths to describe their functions, but are best thought of as a continuous spectrum of consciousness, from slow, loud, and functional to fast, subtle, and complex. Think of brainwaves as musical notes. The low frequency waves are like a deeply penetrating drumbeat, while the higher frequency brainwaves are more like a subtle high-pitched flute. And like a symphony, the higher and lower frequencies link and cohere with each other through harmonics. Our brainwaves change according to what we're doing and feeling. When slower brainwaves are dominant, we can feel tired, slow, sluggish, or dreamy. The higher frequencies are dominant when we feel wired or hyper alert. Electroencephalogram EEG readings from adult brains reveal that neural electrical activity is correlated with different states of awareness. Adult EEG readings show that the human brain operates on at least 5 different frequencies: delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma waves. each associated with a different brain state. Between 2 and 7 years of age, a child's brain activity operates primarily in the range of theta. While in the theta state, children spend much of their time mixing the imaginary world with the real world. The predominant delta and theta activity expressed by children younger than 7 signifies that their brains are operating at levels below consciousness. Delta and theta brain frequencies define a brain state known as a hypnagogic trance, the same neural state that the hypnotherapists use to directly download new behaviors into the subconscious minds of their clients. In other words, the first 7 years of a child's life are spent in a hypnotic trance. A child's perceptions of the world are directly downloaded into the subconscious during this time, without discrimination and without filters of the analytical self-consciousness mind, which doesn't fully exist. Consequently, our fundamental perception about life and our role in it are learned without our having the capacity to choose or reject those beliefs. We were simply programmed. Within that age range, we are exposed to many suggestions, whether by parents, school, or TV media, many of them being negative. This is how we begin our negative self-talks, automatic thinking. Every one of us have a very penetrant voice inside ourselves. The scientific term is subvocalization. Our brains can talk to ourselves 4 times faster than normal talk. Now comes the interesting part of that. 80% of the self-talks are negative or limiting in some way. The average human being is only aware of about 5% of those self-talks. 95% of our thinking is just happening. That's our program, our subconscious. This means that so many negativity has been programmed into our minds that constantly influence us on an unconscious level. We have to learn to unplug from it. And the key is self-awareness, the ability to detach from our minds and observe its doing to gain back consciousness over our minds. And we build off our thoughts. It's a snowball effect, and before you know it, those thoughts are running in autopilot. You aren't even aware of it. It's limiting. This is why you don't lose that weight or get that career you wanted. Those thoughts limit you. It's the why start today when I can start tomorrow thoughts. It's the I'm not good enough for that job, somebody else better will get that position thoughts. But it can be changed. The challenge is to properly fire and wire new thoughts, the thoughts of your future, into your brain every day. You will also have to rehearse the behaviors you want to demonstrate in your life every day. Because most people go unconscious during their day, the walking meditation is a great way for us to embody the energy of our future. To walk like a wealthy person, a healthy person, or a person in love, and to move in new ways as a more unlimited human being with their certainty, clarity, passion, and awareness, is to be that future self. You have to master that behavior to the point that your body will take over and it'll be the new program you're running in, that new software. Each time you make a new choice, that is in alignment with your future. You are priming your brain to install the neurological hardware to actually think, act, and feel like the person you want to be in your future. If you keep firing and wiring those networks in your brain, the hardware eventually becomes the software program, and making choices that are in alignment with your future becomes more automatic. When you do it enough times, as we walk as our future self, as we get our body involved each day in the process, this behavior becomes the habit of the new self. This is how we create new habits of thought and behavior. Then one day, you naturally walk from your front door to your car as the future person, not as the unconscious programs that you normally live by. One of the major hurdles in this process of becoming is to teach your body to emotionally feel your future. See, that's the important part. The more you can feel the emotions of your future, the less likely you will be to live in lack and separation. Because the longer we condition our body into the emotions of our future, the more we feel like the future has already happened. If you felt like your future had already happened, then you wouldn't worry or stress, and you wouldn't try to force, wish, or predict future outcomes. Instead, you would just know your future is coming towards you. So all you have to do is receive it when it comes knocking on your door. Staying in that energy. The entire day is the work. So the work then is just not doing the mediation, getting up, starting your day and going unconscious. It's to create a new habit where you're consciously, subconsciously, and automatically living in the emotions of your future. The practice then is first doing the meditation, then understanding why you're doing it, and finally assigning meaning to the process. If you can master this process, you'll be able to stand in line in the bank, at the grocery store, be stuck in traffic, and be living in your future instead of going into the unconscious programs of your past as we normally do every day. If you were more aware of who you were being in that moment, then you could actually elevate your body's energy while standing there, knowing that the more you stay in this energy, the more you draw your future to you. If you keep doing this, walking as your future self, sitting as your future self, standing as your future self, lying down as your future self, then in time, you will become your future. So it's not about getting this or that or the other. Many people want to wait till they have this amount of money, or to have that job, or when I have that thing, I will finally be happy. They have it all backwards. It's about who you become in the process of becoming your future. Switch that program for the one you want. Before going to bed, set up an audio on your headphones of a program you'd like, the person you would like to become. Download that information to your subconscious, because right when you're falling asleep, consciousness is disconnecting and you'll be entering that theta wave. As I mentioned before, theta will leave you in a hypnotic trance. Downloading that program into your subconscious, we all can live a life we are meant to live. Happiness is a choice, and we can create our future.